knitty friends, welcome to episode 11 of the Salapaloosa Knits videocast. If this is your first time stopping by, thank you so much for giving my podcast a chance, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I know that there are a lot of you who are new subscribers, so thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and for coming back. And yes, it means a lot and I really appreciate it, so thank you. This is a video cast about knitting and some other craftsy bits and bobs as well, but primarily knitting. And if you want to get in touch with me, I am Salapaloosa Knits on Instagram. I am Salapaloosa on Ravelry. And if you have any questions or inquiries or anything like that, please pop me an email at salapaloosanknits@gmail.com. Yes, that's the regular administrative bits, but this week I have to point out that I'm getting tongue-tied already, which usually means it's time for a sip of coffee. Yes, I have to point out that the Ravelry group for the podcast is up and running, and if you search for Salapaloosa Knits podcast on the groups tab on Ravelry, or probably just Salapaloosa, I'm guessing that no other groups are bearing that name. But yes, the podcast Ravelry group is Salapaloosa Knits podcast. And thanks to everyone who has joined already and who has written in the introduction thread. I really enjoy reading all of your intros and just hearing who you are and getting to know you a little bit and learning about your fibre journeys and where you are in the world. I really thoroughly enjoy reading them, so thank you to everyone who has written there. Yes, keep doing that. Head on over there and join the group, and do feel free if you want to write a little bit in the introductions thread, because I think it's so much fun to connect with you guys, and it's just a lovely read, so thank you for doing that. Yes, so my name is Elizabeth and I'm coming to you from the rainy, snowy western part of Norway. I live in a city called Bergen, and I live with my wonderful boyfriend, and I study psychology at the university here, and I also work in the psychiatry field. Yes, I think that's it. We'll jump into the knitty bits and grab your knitting and something in your cup, and yes, let's get going. I'll have another sip of coffee from my Miss Atui mug. I think this is really charming, a little bit whimsical and very playful and fun. The coffee, if you're interested in that, is the we have one of those Nespresso coffee pods machines, which I love for its simplicity and for being able to get just one cup of coffee. I am just terrible at drinking up what I've made, and so it's just perfect for me to use those little coffee pods and get one cup, and that's it. It feels less wasteful, and although the coffee pods are made of aluminum, you can return them to the Nespresso store and they will recycle them. So that's good. Yes, I don't know, I can't remember which coffee this is, but if you have an espresso machine, it's the bright orange one. It's very good. It's sort of mild and round flavoured. Okay, I'm just rambling about coffee. I'm going to stop. Let's get into the knitting. Well, actually, let's get into the crocheting, because this week I have a little finished object that came to life on Saturday. Today is Monday, by the way, Monday the 26th of February. It's in the early hours, not that early, it's about 9 a.m. I'm looking outside the window and it's so grey and gloomy, and it looks like it's going to snow quite a bit. There came a lot of snow last night, so I'm sort of just waiting for the other shoe to drop and for it to just start pouring down. Snow doesn't really pour, does it? Although it is water and rain, but it's sort of frozen rain, isn't it? Okay, I'm rambling again. Sorry about that. Back to the crochet. Alright, so I've wanted to crochet some more for quite a long time. I got some incredibly inspiring crochet and amigurumi books lately, and they have just made me want to grab onto my hook and start working on making some things. Now this project is just a teeny one that came to life on Saturday, and it is the Party Snail by Tiny Curl. I'm just going to show you. I think he is just ridiculously charming and funny. Look at his little hat with a giant pom-pom. And oh, came out to focus that. There we go. Isn't he just the funniest thing you've ever seen? I've been every time I look at him I just start to laugh because I think that he is just so funny and charming and hilarious. Yes, it's the Party Snail pattern by Tiny Curl. This is a free pattern on the Tiny Curl blog or website. So do head on over to Instagram and follow the link to Tiny Curl's website if you want to make one for yourself. I'll put it in the show notes as well, which can be found in the Ravelry group. Yeah, that's the place to be. I made the Party Snail on a C hook, which is a 2.75mm hook. I used the Knit Pro Wave hooks, which I got a couple last time I was in London, and I got them at John Lewis, and this was my first project using the wave hooks, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad I got a few of them, and next time I'll be in John Lewis, I'll probably pick up a couple more because I thoroughly enjoyed working with it. It has a really good grip, and yes, I liked it. So there you go. Now, granted, it's been quite a while since the last time I crocheted, so I felt like with not paying that much attention and watching the TV and sort of making conversations with my boyfriend and everything while knitting, I almost said, while crocheting this, I definitely felt that wasn't very wise, because it being a little while since the last time I crocheted, my tension wasn't all that great, so it's a little bit wonky some places, and not as tight and pretty as I would want it, but still, this is just a whimsical fun project, and I mean, nobody's going to think that this Party Snail isn't pretty enough. It's not really supposed to be, is it? It's just fun and whimsical. So yeah, that's that. I used some 8/8 cotton thread to knit it. It is by Grene and by Mayflower. And I don't know if I know that most of you are knitters and not primarily crocheters, so I don't know if you're familiar with the yarn types and the cotton yarn and the 8/8 or the 8/2 or whatever, but if you're wondering what that means, the difference between all those different cottons is basically the size. So they are all plies of base yarn, which is the 1/8 part of the fraction, and so the 8/2 is a 2-ply, and the 8/4 is a 4-ply, and the 8/8 is an 8-ply. So this was an 8-ply cotton yarn that I used. Yes, I don't know if there's much else to say about it really. you're just going to get one more look, and then, because you might have a bit of a laugh out of it because of his ridiculously funny sort of wonky face. And that hat, I mean, come on, look at that one, just look at him, and that adorable tiny pom-pom. I have to say, it was so much fun to make that little pom-pom. Yes, I just loved it. I basically just tied some thread around my index finger and tied some string around it and tightened it, and tied it on the other side and tightened it, and then you just cut up the sides of it like you do with the regular pom-pom, and you just sort of frizz it up a little bit and you trim it, and then you get this teeny tiny pom-pom, which was just so much fun to make. And if you make like dolls, clothes, or anything like that for your kids, then it's a good trick to have up your sleeve, because who doesn't love teeny tiny pom-poms, right? Yes. Anyways, I guess that's it for him. I do feel like maybe he should have a name. If you have any ideas as to the name of the little party snail, please do let me know, and I'll give him a name, and he can be our little mascot. I'll put him up here by the tulips for now. That wasn't easy. Yeah, let's put him in the back there. There we go. Alright, so that's the only finished object that I have for you guys this week. But I do have quite a few whips, so I'm going to try to zoom through quite a few of those, because I've talked about most of them before, but I do have a new project, and I'll spend some time on that one. Alright, so first of all, the first whip that I want to show you, let me just grab the bag. I have just this mountain of yarn and knitting bags down here, but yes, that's podcaster life. I'm not going to show you because it's not very aesthetically pleasing, it's just a giant mess. Okay. Now this is a little baby cardigan that I've shown you previously, and I was, if I'm being totally honest, hoping to have it finished by now, but it's not, so whatever. I'm not going to punish myself for that. It's supposed to be fun. Knitting, that is. Not the punishing. Knitting is supposed to be fun. Yes, it's a little wonky to show you because it's, you know, it's on the needles, but I'll give it a go. It's knit from the top down, and it is called the raspberry jacket, or bringebærjakken in Norwegian, and it is a design by Hoppestrikk, which is a Norwegian pattern designer. And just a second here, I'm just trying to sort of gather it a bit. So this is it. Trying to put the front together so it doesn't look so wet. But this is the little baby cardie. This is the back. You can see the pattern a little bit better there. And I have finished with most of the body. I'm doing the ribbing at the bottom right now, and just a couple more rounds, then I can bind off it, and then it's just the sleeves left. So it isn't really a lot of work to finish it. It's teeny tiny, so it would probably knit up quickly and get off my needles if I just prioritized it a little bit, but for some reason I haven't. I'm not going to talk about this too much because I've shown it off several times before, and if you watch them, you know how I feel about it. If you haven't, then go back and look at the previous episodes. I won't spend too much time on it, but I can say that I'm looking forward to have it finished. I do think that the finished project is going to be very adorable. I love this mauve colour that I knitted out of. The yarn is Dalegarn by Lerche by Dalegarn, which is houseofyarns.no, and the colour is there we go, 8104, and it's this light mauve colour. The yarn is 53% merino and 47 Egyptian cotton. And I am using some Knit Pro Carbon Novas to knit this with. Those are the square needles, and this is the 4mm. I must say that I did gauge swatch, and I got the gauge in the pattern, but I must admit that I would probably prefer a tighter gauge for this jacket, but it being sort of a merino cotton blend, then it's sort of made for spring and summer, I guess, so it's not practically, it doesn't really matter, but visually I would like a tighter gauge. I do like a pretty tight gauge usually. So that's that. I don't think I'm going to say anything else about it, although I can just note the stitch marker on here, which I love, is a little self glow in the dark vampire by Jiggles and Beans. They have the most amazing stitch markers, so head on over to their Ravelry store if you're looking for something new. Alright, that was the raspberry jacket. The next thing I want to show you, I think we're going to go on a bit of a sock parade here, but the first one is the monkey socks that I have been knitting, and I have showed you before. Quickly, if you want to see, I have this in my little project bag that I just whipped up the other day. Actually, it's just a really simple bag. Actually, it's a curtain fabric because I had to hem our bedroom curtains, and I got quite a bit of fabric from it, so I decided to make to cut it very strategically so that I could use the fabric again. Yes, so what else? I put a little band here because I really love to be able to put my bags on my wrist like that, and I just put in a sort of white fabric for the inner part of the bag, and I have this grey metal zipper with a gold zipper, and I just put a little let's see if I can show you that, a little mermaid stitch marker on there. I don't know if you can see that, hopefully you can. Yes, so just a quick little project bag. And anyways, back to the issue in question, which is the monkey socks. Now, I think I showed you one of them last week. This is the first of the socks, and it is the monkey sock pattern by Cookie A. The yarn is the Regia Perfect yarn, and this is the vintage colorway, which is the 07049 is the colorway number. And yes, what else can I say? One is finished, the other one is in progress. I'm using higher sharps 2mm needles, and this is how far I've gotten on that one. I knit my socks magic loop, and these I knit from the top down, and there's not really much to say about them. I think that I've said most of it before. I love the monkey sock pattern. I thoroughly enjoy working with this yarn, and I love the gradient colour and how that's working on the monkey sock pattern. So if you haven't knit monkey socks and you do enjoy knitting socks that aren't vanilla socks, go check it out. It's highly addictive and very enjoyable. Yes, I haven't put the heel in on this sock yet. I'm doing an afterthought heel because it's going to be a gift, so I'm hanging out on that a little bit. Yes, so those were the monkey socks. not much to say about it really. I just wanted to show you the progress and how it's coming along. Alright, next pair of socks are the Naughty and Nice socks by Brandy Valt of Long Dog Yarns. Sorry if I just butchered your name, Brandy. It's spelled V-E-L-T-E, and yes, I hope it's somewhat correct. Once again, I'm using an afterthought heel, but I have finished one of the socks off blockers, so it's just a big tube. But hopefully you can see the lovely simple stitch pattern on here. It's also very enjoyable and sort of mindless. I'm loving this yarn with this pattern. It is, like I said, the Naughty and Nice socks pattern, and the yarn, I can show you the ball here, is by Garn Sucre, which I know I talk extensively about almost every episode, but it's such a great company. And the colour is Urtla Mihifar. So that's the yarn. It is a merino nylon blend, and I thoroughly enjoy working with it, and I love the way it's knitting up with this pattern. I'm not going to show you the project bag just yet because I'll talk about it in acquisitions because it's new, and I'm really excited to show it to you guys because I feel like I have a crush on this bag. Anyways, I have started the second sock, and I have gotten a lot of threads here. Let's see if we can collect some of them. There it is. This is the second sock. The stitch marker is this tiny cute little sprinkly cupcake. It's also by Jiggles and Beams, and the yarn is of course the same one as the previous sock, and I'm knitting them on Knit Pro carbons in the 2.5mm size. I am knitting it on a 48 stitch count. The pattern is for a 72 stitch count, but I modified it to fit a 48 stitch count because that is the fit that works best for me. Yes, I'm thoroughly enjoying this pattern, and I do feel like the socks are just zooming off the needles, and it's just very enjoyable. I highly recommend the pattern. It is quite new, it's just been out for a couple of weeks, but I can already say that I will absolutely, most certainly use the pattern again to knit another pair of socks. So yes, very enjoyable indeed. Yes, should I just, yeah, let's just grab the last sock on the sock braid, and I'll show it up. Last episode I showed you with frills and a lot of delight that I had gotten my grubby little hands on some, oh sorry about that, I just dropped the remote. There we go. Yes, I got my hands on some Netflix Felici, and I really wanted to cast on some vanilla socks using it, and one of the skeins was the Hawaiian shirt colorway. So I did cast on some vanilla socks on that yarn, and here it is. It's just a tube, and it will be somewhat shorty socks, not very long. Probably the heel will be about here. But it was so much fun to knit this. I haven't put the heel in yet because I want to see how much yarn I'll have left after finishing the second one, and if there's enough of the Felici yarn, or if I should put in a contrasting afterthought heel. I have started the second sock. I actually started this late last night, and for some reason it just, all of this happened. This is not a lot of knitting, but you know, it's just pure stockinette, so you don't, or I don't have to look at it while working on it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun because I feel like I knit on it while we're watching a movie, and then I just sometimes I look down and it was just, ooh, a new color, and it's just fun to see the progress. And I really enjoy knitting with the Felice yarn. I love the way the color definition and how that's turning out, and they are just so playful and whimsical and fun. So I highly recommend it so far, at least. I haven't worn them yet, but so far so good. I think they're just lovely, and I can't wait to get some more Felice. And our knit picks, they don't ship to most of Europe. They offer shipping to the States and to Australia, I think, and the UK, and to Canada. Yes. So they are currently shipping to the UK and Australia to test out some international shipping, and hopefully that goes well, because it's really difficult to get your hands on the knit picks yarn in Norway. But there's one British store that ships to Norway that has the yarn, which is the Great British Yarns website. So when they get a new update of Felice yarn, I will most definitely try to grab some more, because yes, it's just so much fun to knit on it. Yes, I'm keeping this in another little, just a simple snap bag that I made. It's not really much to show. We've got blue snaps and some just a beige linen fabric on the inside, and on the outside is this fun flowery pattern. And actually I got this fabric from IKEA, and I think it's a really great fabric, so that was a fun surprise. Yes. Alright, that's the sock braid finished. Having a zip. And the next project I'm so excited about, because I'm having so much fun knitting on it, and I just love the way it's turning out. I'm so pleased with it. Living in another simple snap bag is the Fingering Brioche bandana cowl, which is the pattern by Lavagna Patricella. I saw on the Meg from Bad Wolf Girls It's and Knits, she did a live on YouTube, and she talked about, at least I think it was on her live, she talked about how she'd been mispronouncing Lavagna's last name, and it just made me realise that I have a horribly mispronounced her name, and it's just stupidity from my side of it, because I hadn't thoroughly read her name, I guess, because I've been saying Patriciella, and that's not her name. It's, I think, Patricella or Patricella. I don't know exactly how she pronounced it, but there's no Ciella in there. It's just straight out. So that was embarrassing, especially because I did a test knit for her a little bit while back, and I kept saying Patriciella, so sorry about that. Very embarrassing. But luckily I probably got it right this time. Thanks to Meg for making me realize it. Okay, so let's see if we can make it look not so wonky. Maybe if I put the needles in here. Yeah, so I really wanted to do a brioche project, and I really wanted to do a cowl. if you have watched my earliest episode, you can see that I started one of the Pearl Soho brioche cowls a long time back, but I made a mistake and it got twisted, and I'm going to have to frog it. It's not bringing me any joy. I don't want to work on it, and I'm not going to then, because if it's just sort of a hassle and I feel like I have to do it and it's no fun, then what's the point, really? So instead I cast on another brioche cowl, and this is knit out of fingering weight yarn, and let's see, here it is. Hopefully you can see the colours really well. This is the main side, and let's see, here is the contrasting, and I am really happy with this color combination. I think that the yarns just complement each other immensely, which makes me so happy, because you never know really once before you start working on it. I thought that they would be gorgeous, but I was afraid that maybe they wouldn't have enough contrast, but I really do think that they have. The main color is this beauty that I showed off last week. It is the Back to the Fuchsia colorway by Bird Street UK, Mr. B's yarn, and it is just this incredibly beautiful tonal green with some bright fuchsia speckles in it, and this skein just made my heart sing, and I just had to cast it on the moment that I saw it. And the contrasting color is this one, which is this lovely mauvey tonal. It's called Armudsele Mørk, which is by Garnsur. I know that sounds incredibly difficult to remember, but I'll put it in the show notes, I promise. And I think that they just look like they were made to be together. They're like tomatoes and basils. This is the basil and this is the tomato, and they're meant to go together. Yes, I'm knitting it on my Lykke needles, but I'm using the fixed circulars. I have a couple of those that I got before I spent some money on the interchangeable set, and I got a bunch of the size 0 needles, the 2mm, but they kept breaking on me because I sat on them, and also they just snapped. I swear nobody even touched them. I don't know how it happened. I may have sat on them again. I don't know. Nobody knows. We don't have to talk about that, okay? Anyways, the 3mm are great. Yes, it's the fixed circulars, so it's the US 2.5 size, and yes, the 3mm needle. And the cable is a little bit weird because, well, the cable is fine, but the length of the cable is not perfect, because it's like it's a little bit too long, but not a lot. So it's this sort of almost magic loop, or you can stretch the fabric a bit sort of size, and that makes it a little less enjoyable than it probably would be if I had the correct cable size. But with the pattern being so enjoyable and the yarn being so lovely, I don't really care about it that much, and I have been doing quite a bit of work on it. And yes, like I said, I'm just loving the way it's turning out, and I can't wait to have it finished and to be able to wear it. And yes, now the pattern is like a cowl, and then it splits into sort of a bandana style point in the front. So I'm about 2/3 of the way into the cowl, and then I'll have to split for the bandana. So that should be interesting. It's been a while since I did brioche, not in the round, so fingers crossed that will be okay. Yes, if not, I have the Nancy Marchant brioche book that is incredible, and I'll have to refresh my memory before splitting the project, I think, before I stop knitting in the round. All right, I think that's actually all of the knitting I have for you this week. I feel like I've just zoomed through it. I usually spend a lot of time rambling about all sorts of things, but this time I had a lot of socks, and you've seen most of them before, so there you go. Hopefully that's okay. So we're going to move on to some acquisitions, and first of all, I just really want to share with you this little cutie patootie over here. I got the most amazing happy mail last week. It was just out of the blue and a total surprise, and it was this little guy right here. It's a little alpaca, and it is made out of alpaca wool. Look at his little feet. Isn't he just the cutest thing? I think that his little face is just so charming, and every time I look at him it just brings a smile to my face, like the party snail, I guess, but this one is actually a lot cuter. Yes, like I said, it's made out of alpaca, and I mean, come on, you're going to get to look at his face a little bit more, because I mean, how cute is he? Yes, so this was a gift. I don't know who made it, there's no label on it, but it's just so cute, and I guess he should live here and be with us through every episode. He should have a name too, shouldn't he? Yeah, he needs a name. If you have name suggestions for the baby alpaca and the party snail, do let me know. We'll have to name them. We're just going to have to. Oh yeah, I'm on a bit of a tulip kick lately. Just when we're in the getting close to March, I just always feel myself being drawn to tulips. It's just such a lovely spring flower, and I just love the colour on these. I couldn't let them stay. I had to bring them home with me. Yes, so on to the next acquisitions. I'm going to show you the project bag that I'm keeping my naughty and nice socks in, because it's brand new, and it is this one right here. It is by Girl So Sheepy. There you go. And I got it from the Etsy shop, and it's just this really lovely fabric, and it's a squared bottom bag with a zipper, and it's got a contrasting fabric in the front, and I love the detailing on this turquoise zipper. I think that is just such a good call. And yes, it's got just the white sort of ivory contrasting fabric on the inside, and I'm thoroughly pleased with it. I've already got several more of their project bags in my favorites on Etsy, because I really want to get some more, and they are reasonably priced, and I really love this size project bag, because at the moment I do have a lot of smaller projects going, and and it just fits so well with the one skein project, especially for socks, because I can fit the finished sock and the working sock and a copy of the pattern and a tape measure and a little lavender sachet, and it still feels quite roomy, so perfect size. I really love it. Girl Sew Sheepy on Etsy. Go check out their store. It's really, really good. And we've got some yarn. We got some yarn this week as well. First one, let me show you. Oh, I just tumbled all of them down on the floor. All right, first of all, I was so drawn to this skein. It is by Yantantatera Hand Dyed Yarns. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it, but they have an Etsy store, and they also have a web page which is yantantaterayarns.co.uk. I will put it in the show notes. I will link to it. And the colorway is called Padero, and this is it. Now, this skein, it just reminded me of Easter and Easter eggs. It just reminded me so much of those watercolored, hand-painted Easter eggs, and I just loved it, and I can't wait to cast this on, but I think I'm going to have to save it for sort of an Easter cast on, like a pair of socks or something. And I think this is so beautiful. It is sort of a variegated pink and green and blue and yellow and purple and pink, and it's got speckles of all those colors as well, and if I described it to you, it would just sound really busy and not very beautiful, but I really do think that it is just incredibly beautiful and so much fun, and just really reminds me of Easter. And look at that with the tulips. Oh, it's so beautiful. So I'm super pleased, and I think I've gotten a couple of skeins from them in the past, and they do have a couple of lovely colorways, and the yarn is soft and squishy. I forgot to say it's 75-25 Superwash Merino nylon blend. It's so 100 gram is 425 meters, which is 464 yards. No, wait. I said the colorway name is Padero, but that's not right. It's the name of the base. The colorway name is called Just Before Dawn. Sorry about that. Just Before Dawn. Yes. There you have it. That is one of my beautiful favorites that I got this week. And let's see. The next one I want to show you is, oh, I have to spin around and pick it up. I'm sorry about that. There we go. All right. So the first one I want to show you is it's this beautiful tonal green, and it is called Woodland Walk, and the name of the shop is by Miranda May, and this is her label, and this is the beautiful skein. I've been finding myself really drawn to tonals lately, and I didn't have any skeins of yarn in this beautiful green colour, so I was just intuitively very drawn to this colorway. It's 75-25. It is a merino nylon blend, and it's a 4-ply. It's 100 gram skein, and that is 400 meters. I'm just going to show you one more time so you can admire these colors and the beautiful work that Miranda May did coloring this. Yeah, I mean, isn't this just the most beautiful green tonal skein? I love the contrasts in this, because you've got this almost fluorescent green in there, and then you've got this very deep mossy, almost blue-green color over here. And yeah, I think that this is just amazing. I haven't got a specific project in mind for it, but I do feel like this would probably make look incredible in a brioche project. So I'll have to think about that for a moment and try to figure something out, because I really want to use this. Yes, the colorway, like I said, it's called Woodland Walk, and there's a label again. It's by Miranda May, which is also her Etsy shop. So go there and check it out and give her some support and get yourself some lovely yarn. Yes, one more time. There we go. All right, so the next one I want to show you is a skein that's called Raspberry Dream, and it's another tonal, and it is by Das Strickzimmer. And yeah, I have a card here. This is the card. Das Strickzimmer. And this is the skein. It is this tonal pink. It is a 75% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and a 10% stellina. And this is a very different kind of stellina that I have worked with before. I don't know if you can see the stellina coming through, but it's got this sort of thin bronzy fibers just poking out of it. Now I will say that I do love this skein. I love the colour, and I'm sure I'm going to make something very enjoyable out of it. But I will say that I do prefer the other kind of stellina, where there's just sort of tiny sparkles throughout the skein. I don't have a stellina skein within reach right now, but yes. So this type of stellina is not my favorite, I must say. I'll see if you can get, hey, maybe you can see some of those threads. But I really do love this skein. I think that the colorway is just beautiful. Like I said, I've been feeling drawn to tonals lately, so this just, it had to come live with me. And yes, even though the stellina, the type of stellina isn't my favorite, I still think that it is absolutely gorgeous, and I really want to use it. And there's 2 skeins left, and yes, this is just really funny. I'd helped my boyfriend out with something that he needed help with, and it just wasn't very fun for me. Anyways, I said that maybe I should get a skein of yarn because of the work that I did, primarily as a joke, but also a little bit serious. And then the other day I was just looking for something in my stash, and I had these little cubbies, you know, from the the IKEA shelves that everybody's got, those big squares. So I got yarn in a couple of those cubbies, and I also have a few baskets of yarn in my stash. And I turned around and I spotted something in one of those straw baskets, and it was something brand new that I hadn't seen before and I hadn't ordered. And he hadn't said anything about it. He had just ordered it and just put it in my basket without letting me know. And in there was these beauties. I'm so lucky, I know, he's the best. So the first one is just this incredible purple and pink. Oh, it's so beautiful. This is also by Garnsur, and it's the Sökke Merino base, which is the Superwash Merino Nylon base, 7525, and the colorway name is Hörningen Nys, which means the half on this dialect, Norwegian dialect, where this yarn company is. And I'm just going to show you one more time because I think that this is just so visually pleasing to look at. I could just rest my eyes on this. It's like a piece of art, really. Yes, and that's incredible. I love it. And the other one is this one. It is called Mari Supkano, and if you're a long-term viewer of the podcast, you know that I've knit some monkey socks out of this yarn previously, and that I absolutely adored it. And this is one of my all-time favorite colorways probably in the world. And yes, the previous skein that I got was on just a one-ply superwash. Maybe it wasn't even a superwash, a one-ply merino anyways. Yes, I think it was superwash. And this is on the merino nylon base, so that means I can make some amazing socks out of it. Yes, and I just felt like these two, I mean, this was just the most incredible surprise. He did so good. And yes, I'm so happy. They made me so happy. They absolutely made my day. Yes, that was all of the acquisitions this week. I think I'll have to look down and around. No, that's it. That's it, the acquisitions. If you're only here for the knitting, then please feel free to log off. Thank you for spending your time with me. I'm just going to ramble on a little bit further. I have been talking for quite a few minutes, I think. Yes, we're at 53 now, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. I'm just going to have a quick sip of coffee. Cold, but still good. Not bad. Yeah, so I'm just looking out the window. We have this large arched window in our living room, which is where I'm at right now, in front of our fireplace. And it's just completely white outside. When I look out at the sky, it's just snowing a lot, and all the roofs are covered in snow, and the ground is covered in snow. And Bergen is a very old city with lots of old wooden houses, and it does look quite charming, covered in snow and very picturesque, but I just find myself longing for spring and Easter and just walking in the woods, or just having a stroll in the city and seeing crocuses peek out of the ground, or snowdrops, and that just, it makes me so happy. It's just one of the best spring signs, and I feel myself longing for that. Where I live, we usually have a very late spring, and with there being a lot of snow now, and there's supposed to be cold front as well in the next week, it just feels like spring and summer is really far away, and summer is very far away, I guess, but spring hopefully isn't. So yeah, that's just sort of been my mood lately, longing for spring. But the last week has been really, really nice. I've been able to meet up with some great friends that have been in town that I hadn't seen for a while, and just going out to dinner and lunch with them, and yes, that was just great. It's so wonderful with those friends that you haven't seen in months or maybe a year, and then you see them again and it's like you never parted. Yeah, so that was really nice. I've been doing a bit of knitting, I guess. It feels, I know it's quite a lot of knitting, and I shouldn't say that it's not, because I know that a lot of people have busier schedules than I do, and maybe have small children and don't really get any knitting time, so I'm not going to complain, but just all the knitting time in the world probably would feel like too little, because it makes me so happy, and I'm so passionate about it, and it just makes me feel so good. So obviously I want to knit all the time, every day, all day. But I'm glad I got to knit as much as I did. We've been watching a couple of shows on Netflix and knitting, Netflix and knit, which has been great. Have you seen that show Altered Carbon? It's quite a new show on Netflix, and it is so good. It's a sort of a sci-fi series. It reminded me of Blade Runner a little bit. We just couldn't stop binging it. So if you're into a little bit of sci-fi, or quite a bit actually, then you should absolutely check it out. It's based on the book series, it's a trilogy, and I know that Netflix has the rights for the entire series, so they are planning a new series for next year. Yes, it's definitely not for kids. It's quite brutal and violent, but it's so good. I won't tell you too much about it because it's just going to spoil it. And I'd say that maybe the first episode, it could seem a little bit Confucius, I almost said confusing, because there are a lot of things being introduced, and especially with sci-fi you need to really concentrate on the first episode, but after that it's all smooth sailing and a lot of fun. I know that it's gotten some mixed critiques, and yeah, if you don't like sci-fi, then it's not going to be a show for you, but if you do check it out, because it was really good. We have really enjoyed it, and it's also throughout the series there's so much drama, and it's incredibly entertaining, and just a really good story. And also there's so many excellent cultural references in that show, which I just found very funny and enjoyable. So that's that. Yeah, what else? We saw a movie a couple of nights ago, and it was called The Big Sick. I don't think it's in the theatres anymore. I think it ran this sometime before Christmas anyway. So we didn't see it at the movies, we saw it at home, but it's I really liked it. It's just a very warm and humorous look at life and love, and it was very, very beautiful. I really loved it. It was a really good film. It's called The Big Sick. So even though the themes are maybe a little bit heavy, the story definitely isn't. And it's just a really beautiful sort of feel-good film. And also it was very, very funny, so I enjoyed that. What else? I am just loving watching MasterChef Australia. Now, I don't know what it is about the Australian version specifically that is so good, but it's so good, you guys. I guess first of all, it's because their cooks are really, really good. They are super talented, and that's obviously very fun to look at. And also, I just love Australians. They are fantastic. I love the judges. I love the humour and the warmth in that show. And you know, they sort of go through several rounds of cooking and competitions every week. And if you're at the bottom, then you'll have to do sort of a elimination challenge cookout. But you sort of, even though you do bad, you get a second chance to do better. And I think that is just beautiful and very good. And yeah, I love that show, MasterChef Australia. And I'm watching the last season, which is the 2017 seasons, and it airs in Norway pretty much every day or 5 days a week. So I love it. It's so much. Anyways, I don't know if you're interested at all in sort of series and movies recommendation or things like that, but I do enjoy talking about it, and or I do enjoy watching them, that is, and I guess that means that I might enjoy talking about it as well. And I'm sorry if that's incredibly irrelevant to you, but feel free to stop after the knitting if that's the case. If not, I might consider doing a sort of a segment, a regular segment, sort of about my favourite things and recommendations, it being food or books or series or, I don't know, hair products or whatever, just random favourite things. Please let me know if you think that will be fun or just irrelevant. And yes, I think I'm just going to wrap it up. This is going to be a long episode, and I'm rambling a lot. But once again, thank you to... Oh no, I have to say something else. I wanted to give a huge, big shout out to all of my test knitters, because my pattern is being tested right now, and I'm hoping to release the pattern within a couple of weeks. They're called the Mountain Rain Socks, which is a pattern inspired by the city where I live in, which is just surrounded by mountains on every corner, and where it's incredibly rainy. So yeah, I'm so thrilled that it's out and being tested, and my test knitters are just amazing. And so big shout out and thank you to all of you. I really appreciate you and everything you're doing, and thank you for sharing your pictures on Instagram. Yes, they're under the tag Mountain Rain Socks if you want to have a peek. Yes, that's it. Then it's time to wrap it up. Yes, I hope you're having a wonderful knitting week. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me and talking about knitting, and yes, it's been very fun for me. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. If you want to, feel free to hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys in a little bit, and have a good week. Bye.